daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle. My name's Iain Mackay. I'm the host tonight. I'm joined by my good bud, Michael Grameslaw, to discuss Brighton 2, Newcastle 1 in a little bit more depth and a little bit less emotion than Michael was showing last night immediately after it. Michael, how are you?
Yeah, I've recovered a little bit, if I'm honest. Was very emotional yesterday. One of those where another sucker punch laid on. Didn't feel great at all. I've had a bit of time to recover. I've watched Man United beat Liverpool, 4 defeats on the bounce for them. That's a small smile on my face, but not as much as it should be today. But yeah, getting better.
Well, I seem to remember, was it the first Liverpool defeat that we watched that cheered us up after the sucker punch against Arsenal?
Yeah.
But it is amazing that they've lost 4, and it's delightful to see Isak looking like somebody poked his eyes out. He just looks completely lost up front for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Just absolutely wandering around like the rest of the Liverpool team don't know who he is. When Ekitike comes on, he just shows him up.
Yeah, for me, it's one of those where everything Newcastle fans said about Alexander Isak in the summer is coming true. And I think a lot of the time we didn't want to believe it ourselves, but it was maybe a bit of, we don't want to lose him. But it's fine because he doesn't track back. He doesn't press. He's horrible at one-on-ones. And actually, we were saying he's better than Erling Haaland 3-4 months ago. Actually, maybe we were deluding ourselves a bit that he's not as he's not as good as we thought he was, because everything seems to be coming true. There's no doubt in my mind that they'll have a run, maybe December when they play Sunderland, Leeds, Wolves. I think they've got Leeds twice that month, West Ham in there as well. There's no doubt when those games come along, that's when Isak will get probably 8 goals, 9 goals, and all of a sudden he'll look incredible again. But yeah, it's quite nice to see, and to be honest, turns out Newcastle fans who watched him for 3 years actually did have a bit of a clue about him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do think that the Newcastle team was built to service Alexander Isak. That's why he got so many goals.
100%.
And all of those jokes about having sold a mobile phone, but you didn't take the charger because they didn't buy Jacob Murphy as well, are coming true.
Yeah, 100%.
Because although restricted time for Jacob Murphy, and he didn't start in favour of Alanga again yesterday, he can get a cross in. He can set up, assists. He supports whoever it is up there. Anyway, let's look at that game yesterday, Michael. Eddie Howe went with, and normally we would just agree with what Eddie Howe's chosen. He's seen them in training and he picks his number 1 team, and we agree normally. I don't think I'm agreeing with going with the same 11 that played against Nottingham Forest 2 weeks previously at all. What do you think? What do you think that our fabulous best Premiership midfield 3 should all have started, given that they've travelled about 30,000 miles between them in the last fortnight?
Yeah, something like that. It's one of those that for me, I don't think you could drop, for a game like this, I don't think you could drop Bruno or Tonali, but I think this is probably the game where you look at Bruno and Joelinton and go, yous have both just played 2 absolutely pointless games in Asia. Granted, Joelinton didn't feature in the first one, but he still travelled, still did all the warm-up, still did all the training. So it's one of those where it takes it out of both players. This isn't an excuse, obviously. Brighton had exactly the same issues with a couple of their players. Minte played for Gambia, for example. But it's just one of those for me. You're sitting there and thinking, don't play both of them, because Brighton are a team that are going to try and run you ragged. You need energy in midfield, and Bruno in first half, I thought second half he was fantastic. First half he wasn't with it. Joelinton, first half he obviously got hooked at half time for a good reason. I think you were going into it, I saw the team sheet and went, I'm happy because that's a brilliant midfield, but I'm a little worried it's going to get overrun, and that's exactly what happened. We'll get to that, but I think Joelinton and Alanga were the 2 where I wasn't 100% sure on them starting. Obviously, I mentioned Alanga in the preview we did. But yeah, those are the two where I was a bit not sure I
Yeah.
wanted to see them start. What about you?
No, I was the same. I thought Joe Linton came back with a apart from having had an airline potential airline accident incident as well. So they did more than there and back to Asia. They did they not take off and then go back and have to land again and then take off again,
I'm not
something
sure,
like
to be
that.
honest. I haven't seen that.
There was a problem on the plane. They did loads more travel. They got back later than they should have done. Joe Linton, Brazil reported to Newcastle that Joe Linton would be coming back with a groin injury, and then Joe Linton said, "Oh no, I'm all right." I would have
I haven't
just
seen that.
said, "Sit this one out, Joey. We need you for Tuesday or something," and started maybe with Ramsey or Miley, um, because both those guys came on and I thought did pretty well in the second half. I think that was. I thought that this is it. You see, I think it's a squad game, and we need to be in the midfield. We need to be like where we can play Chow and Botman at centre half. But if it's Byrne and Shah or any one of them, we're okay with it because we've got four great centre halves. We
Yeah,
need five or six great midfield players. I think we've just about got them, but it
I
doesn't seem
agree.
like Eddie Howe trusts Miley or Ramsey yet to take that strain. That was a
Yeah,
perfect game. I agree entirely. Joe Linton should have sat that one out. Alanga, he did nothing against Nottingham Forest. Let's be honest, he is looking expensive for what we've seen from him, even if he got the man of the match against Barcelona. And of course, I would have started Gordon because he was so good against England. But
yeah. You expect them to
as it
push on.
turns out, what on earth is going on with Gordon? I think here's something for you to ponder. Gordon hasn't got the freedom to do what we like Gordon to do, which is to take the guys on, get to the byline, come across, cut in, shoot,
Mhm.
because he hasn't got Lewis Hall or Tino Livramento behind him. He's got Dan Burn. So that half the time he's looking back to see if he needs to support him. And he certainly doesn't have Dan Burn overlapping and backing him up and playing the little one touch stuff that he does with either of the other fullbacks. Another reason why Big Dan Burn needs to be a centre half and not a left back, in my opinion. Have
Yeah.
you thought that? Has that occurred to you at all?
Yeah, I mean, after the game yesterday, I did a little bit of research on it, and to be honest, what you say completely backs that up. Well, one player I looked at in particular was Gordon and where he was positioned during the game. He actually took most of his touches in the number 10 position. In fact, most of his touches were more advanced and central than what Voltemada's was. Voltemada was more on the sort of right side. Literally none of our players were taking a large depth of their touches on the left hand side except from Dan Burn. And to be honest, it felt that from the eye test. You were watching the game and seeing Dan Burn on the edge of the box on the left hand side and thinking, well, that's not going to work. And it nearly did a couple of times, to be honest. It was
Oh, he
there was
nearly,
a couple of crosses he put in which were okay.
and also, if he was 6'9" instead of 6'7", he would have got his toe on the end of that one right at the end to get an equaliser, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's just not tall enough for Dan Burn, is he?
Not tall enough. Not tall enough. So, Eddie, we're questioning why you went with a clearly fatigued and probably injured Joe Linton. That was a mistake. When you've got
Yeah.
Ramsey fully fit, raring to go, 2 weeks full training in with the boys. Miley didn't go to play overseas, but came back and was with them. I don't know if he'd had much training. Maybe Miley was also carrying an injury as well, and that's why he didn't go that way. We don't know these things, do we? But
No.
yeah, I thought they were wrong. Um, I quite like the rest of the team though. I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty
rest of the
good.
team was fine.
Although I don't like Burn at fullback. What about a back three with, hold on to your hats here, Anthony Gordon and Jacob Murphy as wing backs?
I
And,
think we're
and
looking a bit too much like Man United if we do that.
you reckon?
I don't think the
Is that
defensive prowess is
is
there yet.
is is that the Man United that just won at Anfield that you're talking about?
Yeah, it's also the Man United that have only led 11 times under Ruben Amorim. That led 11 times at half-time, should I say. So they have just won at Anfield, but most of the time they are absolute dog.
I do think that we've got. I don't know. I think we're so used to having a Tino or a Lewis Hall on the left back position
Yeah,
that,
both of them
that
are massive
we've
misses, and I don't think anyone
got to do.
realises just
We've
how
got
much.
to do something. We've got to do something. I don't know if we could try maybe Trips across there and play Kraft at right back.
It's
Trips
always
would
potential, yeah.
support.
I think if we were
Don't
going to
know.
go with that five at the back, I'd actually be a bit more confident trying. We did it a little bit last season, where it was almost Joe Linton as into the back five, just playing him more as that left, not a left winger as to say, but like a left midfielder more. And we do what England do, where the right on the opposite side, obviously, but England, the right winger, the right wing back pushes all the way forward, and then the left back just sort of goes into the back three. Trippier comes into the back three. Joe Linton's almost a midfielder that
Mhm.
drops back, if that makes sense. But again, it's experimenting. We probably don't have time to do that experimenting during these games.
Well,
But
we
something
don't
needs
have
to
time.
change.
We don't have time when they've all been away for a fortnight with England,
Exactly.
etc. So, anyway, disappointing and some criticism of Eddie's team selection. But look, let's listen to Ken and his bedtime story about Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements, designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Thank you, Ken. Part 2, the game. Now, did you notice, Michael, that Newcastle are playing everything back to front this year? In that, traditionally, we are really super fast starters, get 3 up at half time, and the second half is a ball fest whilst we just bat it out. It's not happening that way this year. I'm
No.
generalising a little bit there, of course. We seem to be starting really, really poorly in the first half and then coming on really strong at the end. We did it yesterday. We did it when we beat Nottingham Forest because that first half was a bit of a non event. We did it when we came back almost to beat Liverpool.
We'll say
What's
in that
going
game,
on?
we were brilliant in the first half. We just didn't take our chances.
That's true.
But we were, I say we were brilliant. We were good in the first half. We were brilliant in the second. So it does still meet your point. But I can't say we were bad in that first half.
No,
But
no,
again,
that's
we
true.
were better in the second.
So where's that coming from? Is that because he starts the wrong team and it's the subs that come on and change it all? I mean, to be fair, they haven't really affected the game a lot. Although I do think the substitutions that were made yesterday were worked very positively for us.
Mhm. Yeah, substitutions. I think yesterday was the first time I actually thought the substitutions came on and did something really well.
Mm.
I have to say, Lewis Miley and Jacob Murphy were fantastic. I don't know what it is really because we should be starting the games. I mean, we did on Saturday the first 10 minutes,
First 10
excellent,
minutes was great.
and then as soon as Brighton got their foot on the ball, it felt like Guimaraes, Tonali, and Joe Linton were just standing on each other's toes pretty much, and the ball was still going through them. There was very little gaps between Bruno Tonali and Joe Linton, and they were still managing to just be. I mean, it was mainly Ayari, I believe, doing the damage, but he was passing through the lines just incredibly well, and we just couldn't handle it. But as for why that's the reason in other games, I'm not quite sure, and I think it's a large part of that is down to the confidence of the wingers. I think when we go into games, we've got two players who realistically should be absolutely excellent at beating a man and getting a cross in, Alanga and Gordon. Gordon wants to come in and play number 10. So every time he gets the ball, he's knocking it back to Dan Burn or trying to go into that number 10 role. And Alanga just, I'm not going to slate Elanga, but it looks like he's the least confident man on the planet right now, which maybe that'll change when he gets a goal. I hope it does, because he certainly doesn't look like a £55 million man right now. But he was brought in. He probably thought he was going to be playing with one of his best mates, Alexander Isak. Now he isn't. So I can only imagine he's gone through a bit of a mental roller coaster as well. So not going to add to that. Not like he's going to be listening, but he will be sort of seeing a lot of the stuff online. So I think we've just got two wingers who just don't want to beat a man and get a ball in, because we look so much better with Jacob Murphy in. And Murphy isn't a great footballer, but his mentality is, I'm just going to get it to the byline and I'm going to whip across him, or I'm going to cut inside and whip a ball in. And it's when we do that, we look dangerous. I mean, there was a couple of times on Saturday Murphy did it and there was nobody in the box. You could tell he hadn't even took a look. But it was better than Elanga in the first half, I think we won a break. He ran 30 yards forward, then realised, there's no one in front of me. I'm just going to turn around, pass it back, and lose all danger at all. And he's sitting there going, what are you doing? This is horrendous. But that summed up the first half, really, for me. I don't know about you, but I thought we were shocking in that first half. Well,
we seem to get... Well, after the first 10, we just seem to get really tired. And I mean, I know half of them have got an excuse to be really tired. But, Dan Burn didn't. He played a half, didn't he? Joe Linton, he did his travelling, but he only did one game. He might have been injured, like we said. I don't know. It's like, do they have to play every 3 games to stay match fit? Because they've had a fortnight off. Does that take the sharpness away just from missing a weekend?
I'm not sure what it is,
but it just looked so...
went to Africa, didn't he? And he was electric again.
He was excellent. Yeah, he was very good. So we sort of tailed off to the point where we conceded. I mean, this is a Newcastle defence that had been 4.5 away games without conceding a goal. And then it was like they thought, well, that's enough. We'll just stop now. Because I think the midfield and the 2 centre-halves all switched off at the same time. Because that looked just like a 10-yard forward pass. He turns around and another 10-yard forward pass. And Welbeck's on the penalty spot with nobody to challenge him. That's their goal, isn't it?
Legit, yeah. When Van Hecker plays the first pass to Jorginho Ruta, literally the centre circle, the width of that is the width of distance between our 3 central midfielders, and then about not even 10 yards away from those are Elanga and Gordon. But Van Hecker just plays a straight ball straight into the feet of Ruta, and you're thinking, right, that's a midfield bypassed in the easiest way possible, but it's fine. We've got 2 of the best centre-backs in the league there, in my opinion. And then Welbeck gets behind Sven Botman. Botman, I think, loses his man a little bit. Malik Chow's not close enough to do anything, but I can't remember, I think it's Diogo Gomez who's running as well. So if Chow gets too tight, Gomez just runs into the space. So Botman needed to do better there, really. He doesn't have enough awareness of where Danny Welbeck is. But yeah, Ruda is allowed to run all the time in the world. Midfield don't get anywhere close to him. And he just slots it into Welbeck for Welbeck's first very good finish of the day.
Yeah, and to be honest, at half-time, having just listened to it, I'm glad I didn't see how bad that goal was when it was happening. I suppose I was kind of thinking, well, I'm glad it's just 1-0. Surely they can't be as bad in the second half. And Joe Linton got hooked at half-time.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Gordon was ineffective. When did he get hooked? At about an hour?
Yeah, Gordon was about an hour. I think, was it 70 minutes. He came off and all of a sudden we looked really dangerous for the 10 minutes afterwards. We were growing into it 10 minutes before, but we looked really dangerous when Ramsey and Barnes came on, even though neither of them did particularly well. I think it was just a lot more legs.
Yeah, that's proven how tired we were, of course.
Essentially, yeah.
And then we've got to say our pressure was building. It was looking good. And then we equalised with, what is this man just saves something special and gets cleverer and cleverer with each
Yeah,
game. That, first of all, fair play to Lewis Smiley running beyond the ball to pick the ball up and
yeah,
lay a very intelligent ball into the box, which fooled the defence because no one could guess that Voltemada was going to do a little off his backheeled it in, really, into the
yeah.
bottom
It's
corner. It was a wonderful goal. And he meant
classic
it every
Jose
minute.
Perez flick, as I called it
Yeah.
yesterday. Beautiful stuff.
Very
But
like the goal
great
he scored
comeback.
against Union Saint-Gilloise, actually. That went in off his heel, and that was just an instinctive little flick out
Yeah, he's
from
got great
Tonali's shot.
reaction.
But that was wonderful running onto it. So yeah, so 1-1, and then we're all getting excited, aren't we, Michael? We're all thinking there's only one team going to score again here, and they're playing in green.
Yeah.
You know who I mean. Uh, but the
It's happened again.
dastardly Danny Welbeck has other ideas, and it's so ironic that Byrne makes a fantastic saving tackle.
He does.
Um, it looks like, oh, this is the Newcastle that has not let a goal in all season now, defending for their lives. Brighton aren't going to get close. He makes a great tackle, and the ball just rolls so kindly for Welbeck. Again, I thought he took it really well. You said it wasn't the bottom corner. It was enough in the bottom corner for it to
It was still a
fly
decent
in.
finish. Yeah.
Very good finish. And then it's too late for us to do anything else, although we did try. As I said, Dan Byrne, if he'd only been 6'9", would have got an equaliser. And I think right at the end, um,
There's a
Voltemada
couple
have
of
a header
sniffs
which he
that
put
go.
wide. Little bit of sniff, yeah. Disappointing though, isn't it?
Very
Disappointing.
disappointing. I think with the
Then
second
we,
goal, it's a little bit similar to the first, where I managed to, when I was looking at it back, I managed to stop the frame exactly on the moment it passes Jacob Ramsey, and I'm not going to fault him. Or at least I think it's Jacob Ramsey. I'm not going to fault him, but the ball, if he's here, the ball is literally there. And do you think I saw it quite a bit with Voltemada? He does it a little bit as well, where it's just too busy looking to see where players are, and the ball just ends up almost going through him. Which, to be honest, if there was ever a player that didn't have his head up, looking to see where other players are, I'd be criticising him for that. But it's just one of those where it looks like he's looked up and tried to look around at just the wrong second, so he's not quick enough to react. Maybe I'm making excuses for him because I do quite like him as a player. But again, it's just the fine margins. And with that, I will say there's no excuse for Harvey Barnes to be 5 yards ahead of Weaver and to end up 20 yards behind him by the time the right back gets the ball. Now, Dan Byrne realistically shouldn't have to make that tackle. But he does. He does it really well. Credit to him. Another proof he's probably a centre-back rather than a full-back. And then the ball, as you say, just drops to Danny Welbeck and he blissfully puts it in the corner. I see it through gritted teeth.
it's so deflating. It's so deflating.
Yeah.
It leaves us, Michael. Let me see if I can remember. I think that is 9 points from 8 games played.
Yep. That's
In
correct.
languishing down in 13th place. If Brentford beat West Ham tomorrow, we'll drop another place to 14th. This is not how we wanted the first 20% of the season to go, I don't
No.
think. But look, let's hear from the bin dipper ruining Liverpool's 4th consecutive loss and what he thinks about Zencastr.
Here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
It's just that last Zencastr that gets me. Jesse's
Yeah.
meant to be a Scouser. Oh, never mind. Thank you, Jesse, for stepping in and not complaining every week when I call you a bin dipper. Part three. Anyway, Michael, one question to talk about on part three. Are you worried?
Yes, but I am not worried about the performances of the team. I am worried about the performances of specific players. And I'm going to give you a question here as well.
Right.
Based on expected points, which I hate using these metrics, but expected goals or for against expected against per game,
Yeah.
where do you think that has Newcastle United in the table?
Well, let's see. That would have had us beaten Villa, 3 points, beaten Liverpool, 6 points. Can't remember the rest of the games. We probably would have we draw with Leeds, 7, draw with Arsenal, 8, beat Wolves, 3 is 11, 14. Yesterday, I can't remember. I think we were ahead yesterday. We should have won yesterday. Top.
We're not top. We're not quite top, but we are in
Second.
fourth.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. Our expected goals against is still one of the lowest in the league. A number of great finishes against us this year. We just haven't really. Maybe it's closing down. We're one of the only teams that's conceded more than their goals against. But we're not playing horrific in comparison to the teams we're playing. When we're in a horrific game, both teams have been pretty poor. Bournemouth electric against everyone else. Against us, it was a boring 0-0 because we're taking them out of that. I mean, it's horrible to watch, but I'm not all that worried. But as I say, I'm worried about the likes of Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon, Anthony Alanga, mainly the wingers, as I've mentioned there, just simply not performing. Because I think when you look at it, Newcastle as a whole, the midfield three have held their own this year. I'd say less so about Joe Linton, but Tonali's had a great start of the year. Bruno is the only player other than Voltamada who I think has scored in the Premier League for us. I might be wrong. I might have missed one, but he's looked very good as well. I thought second half against Brighton he was great. Joe Linton less so. And then I'm looking at the wingers and I'm going, well, other than Jacob Murphy, what have the rest of you done this year? I mean, Gordon got a brace against Union Saint-Gilloise, both penalties. Not impressive at all. Alanga was great against Barcelona, but in the Premier League, he's been very, very poor.
It's weird.
I mean, Dan Burns got more assists than Gordon, Alanga, and Barnes put together. So,
because he has one.
Yeah, he has one. Good on him. It's one more than anyone else.
It's crazy. That'll make Lewis Miley have more assists than those three as well, because he got yesterday's, didn't he?
Yeah, he was excellent.
I agree with you. I think performance-wise, and let's not say if there's one little aberration yet. I think the second one's down to luck. We defended that well, and it just drops for Welbeck. First one we went AWOL, and if that's one mistake every 8 games that our centre-back pairings are going to make, I'll take that.
Agreed.
Because you can take that normally and win 3-1. It's just when we're not scoring the goals, it's critical. We've got to score goals. Now, am I worried? I'm not worried because we bought Voltamada and he is scoring goals. We've got Wissa coming back, who I'm hoping is going to be able to hit the ground running when he comes back. He's scored a lot of goals in the Premier League before. And if somebody else is scoring, maybe that just takes the pressure off. Gordon, I think Gordon might have getting asked to take a more central role, and that's why he cuts in so much. Knowing that there's not a centre forward there, knowing that he was picked to play centre forward in the first 3 games before Voltamada joined, I don't know if he's asked to get across there because Voltamada likes to come back. It's the wrong thing to do. We need Voltamada to come back and have each of the wingers running beyond them, but also
100%.
Bruno and Tonali running in front of them as well. I think that makes Voltamada play as a number 10 and we don't have a number 10. I think we've got some great players, Michael. I just don't know if we've worked out how to line them up. It's not perfect, is it?
I think for me it's a case of on the wings, I think we're so used to Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento basically playing as midfielders, bombing forward, overlapping every time we get the ball. Trippier, great as he is, he hasn't really got the legs that he used to have. Dan Burn, as much as he tries and as much as, to be honest, when he gets the ball, he is fairly decent. But at 6'7", if anyone expects him to do anything but look like he's towing a truck, then, you're greatly mistaken. He's a great, great player, but he isn't a left back. And he does well when he's put there, credit to him. But I think it's one of those where everything we do, if it isn't Jacob Murphy whipping a crossing, it has to come from the centre of the pitch, because Gordon's not doing anything. He's trying to come too central. As you say, maybe he's being told that. I'll be bemused if he is, because his best work comes from the wing. And Alanga just doesn't look up for it. So I'm relying on Jacob Murphy for pretty much every bit of creativity out wide at the minute.
Well, he saw what Bruno did for Brazil, though. I mean, Bruno is capable. And we know Tonali's capable.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not be too worried, because Lewis Hall's injury is almost sorted, isn't it? He's coming back for the end of this set of games. That means he'll come on for the last 10 minutes in the last game before the international break. But anyway, he should be fit. Tino's not that far behind. This is an 8-week, and he's been out for 4 of them already. So they should be back soon. We should have a centre forward coming on with Wissa when he's sorted. And maybe with the extra players and the extra competition, we can see some of the form that Gordon shows when he's playing for England and all that competition after his place. I don't think he thinks Eddie's ever going to fancy Barnes ahead of him.
No.
Maybe there's a little bit of that. That's why he should get Park Sung-soo on. Let's see how this lad can do. You're good enough. You're old enough. I don't know.
It's the fact he's probably not good enough. He was playing in the Korean second tier when we found him.
Yeah, but he looks good, doesn't he? In the friendlies, we've seen that assist from against Mansfield. That's just a fantastic ball, whatever pitch you're playing on.
It's good.
Anyway, look, let's not get too down. Can't be too down, because there's always a game coming up tomorrow, although it happens to be on Tuesday. So, Benfica in the Champions League. Very exciting. I'm going.
Lovely. I'm not going to Benfica. I'm going to Athletic Club. To be honest, I am going to keep an eye out, because I had seen the word ticket's still on NewcastleUnited.com, but every single time one pops up, it's either a junior or a disabled ticket. And I keep clicking, I keep checking, but I might even give in and just go to one of those sort of not second hand, but you know what I mean, seat pick or something like that, and try and get a ticket there. Yeah, the old touts.
On the top.
Just to see how it goes, because on the day of the game, you do tend to get a couple that are all right priced. Although if feeling like it, I might even go over the top. But we'll see. The only ones available on there that are decent at the minute are Benfica away support, which tells you they're probably not bringing too many.
Excellent. Well, look, I'm sure we will be. I'll be on with someone tomorrow previewing that game, I think.
Yes, I believe it is you
Joanne?
and Nicola.
Me and Nicola. All right.
Yes.
I thought Joanne was kicking around at some point. Anyway, who knows where they've gone? Missing in action. Thank you very much for joining me to talk about this one, Michael, because, I'm not on the schedule to work tonight either. But never mind.
No.
Never mind. We improvise.
Things are always changing, and thank you for stepping in.
No problem. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you've been watching us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. The likes make it more visible to more people or something.
Yes.
Too technical for me. But if you could like it, we'll all be very pleased. And if you subscribe to it, you'll not miss another one. I've been Iain Mackay, joined by lovely Michael. Thank you, Michael. We're going to go. Toodle pip.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.